somewhere around the age of about 13.
Let me introduce you first. Okay. Hey everybody, Sandra here. Thank you for joining me today, Plant Rich Sandra. And I'm so excited. I get my first interview today. This is Carole. She's a fellow Nutritarian with me. And so we are going to be talking here about Carole's journey as a Nutritarian and before and what got her into this. Okay? All right, now.
Hi everybody. My first foray into the diet world, I had a family that watched me like hawks, everything that went into my mouth. But when I was around 13 or 14, my parents schlepped me to a diet doctor who was fat and smoked. And I got an injection every week, and they were pure methamphetamine pills that I was given. So while I lost some weight, I also read the Sunday New York Times in color. It's not printed in color. Over the years, I never did things like Weight Watchers. I'm not a group person per se. I did Overeaters Anonymous, white-knuckled some weight off, did fen-phen, lost about 90 pounds in 10 months, until the medication stopped working, and they had to give me more of it, and I was still eating and eating. And I got off of it before it was pulled from the market. And I just was out there kind of on my own for a very long time, just, counting calories, doing things like that, some success, and ballooned all the way up to 349.8 pounds, somewhere around 208. Again, continued working for the next 4 years or so. Saw it, and I think it was December of 12, and it was an old broadcast, but it resonated with me, and I got the book, and I read parts of it. I think we're all guilty of that.
Right.
You get it and you don't. I'm going to read the entire thing. I'm going to make notes before I even start.
No, we don't.
And so that was around 2012, and from my heaviest until the end of the beginning of 2016, I had shed a total of about 90 pounds, and then I got stuck. And I tried to bring other whole food plant-based programs into my life. Where's the magic bullet? There was no magic bullet. And I've food journaled for a very long time. So I had a lot of information right at my fingertips. And I sat down and I took a highlighter and I started going through and I started circling the oops. And there's a little bit there, there's a little bit there, vegan junk food. And I realized that at the most, I was 80% Nutritarian.
Right.
And that doesn't work for me. It just doesn't. So March 31st of 2017, I committed to 100%. And there are a lot of things that have gone on since then. I went to a half-day Dr. Fuhrman seminar in Flemington, July of 2017, and that was about blood pressure and cholesterol. I was coming off of blood pressure medication at that point. I read cover to cover The End of Heart Disease. My pulse was running very low. I got really scared because in the book, he commented that a very low pulse on medication, you're increasing the risk of a cardiovascular event. So within a week or two, my doctor had me off of the high blood pressure medication because my blood pressure was normal. In the 15 months since April 1st of 2017, I've lost over 100 pounds. I'm whole plant food, free of sugar, oil, salt, flour, caffeine, and alcohol. I don't buy processed foods, although I trust some of the Dr. Fuhrman foods because I know what's done with them. Any processed food, I do the processing myself. This is not a diet. This is my life. This is a lifestyle. I will do this for the rest of my life. I think I'm a lot stricter than a lot of people are. I also started doing intermittent fasting, I want to say somewhere around July of 2017. And I typically eat my first meal between 10 and 11, and I start with a couple of pounds of steamed veggies. Then I have my smoothie. Then I go off and I have my day's activities. I do a lot of exercise classes. When I'm home, usually somewhere between 2:30 and 3:30 in the afternoon, then I have my humongous salad with some beans. Sometimes I'll have bean soup with veggies, some fruit, and by 4:30 or 5 o'clock, I'm done eating for the day. The thing that it's helped me with is that I'm not doing any eating at nighttime.
Right.
When the kitchen is closed, the kitchen is closed. I brush and floss, other than cleaning out some of my kitty cat's treat dishes at night. I'm not in the kitchen.
Do you feel the need, like if you get a little bit of desire for something, do you use like an herbal tea to stave off that feeling, or you don't even have
No, I stop drinking most fluids early in the day
So you're not
because
up
I
all night.
have other issues and I don't want to be up all
Right,
night.
right.
So I don't
You don't
use
need-
oils, I don't use teas. And the truth is, I really haven't had cravings. And I'm a hardcore food addict. You know, I was into sweet and salty, and I didn't discriminate between the two.
Right,
I mean,
right.
I was just, and I still am. You know, I'm a recovering food addict.
Right.
And I'm aware that all it could take is one bite of a non-compliant food
Right. To send you back down the
right
slide.
down
yeah.
the slope, and I don't intend to go there.
A lot of people feel that way, that they feel like they need to be 100% to avoid that, you know, that just one bite. They think that that will be enough, but then it ends up that reintroduces. Even if they didn't enjoy the bite, they think about it for the next few hours, and then they think, well, you know, I used to enjoy it, maybe, you know, and next thing you know, they're done, they're back.
And I've had so much neuroadaptation with my taste buds. I think about some of the things that I used to binge on quite excessively. I could no more. The thought of them makes me nauseous.
Right.
I know that if I ate them, I would really get sick.
Right, right.
A lot of the sugary things, you know, heavy-duty frostings on cakes. Even some of the Nutritarian food that I eat is too sweet for me.
Like
I
what?
tend
Like
not to
the
eat.
dates?
Some of the desserts. I don't use a lot of dates. I can remember when I first was doing this, I would eat dates. I'd sit and eat dates from the bag. and
Because
it was
they're
like,
compliant.
No, that's not a good thing to do. So I've stopped doing that. I'm here at a Dr. Fuhrman retreat in Florida. I'm not eating the desserts. You know, if there's fresh fruit with it, I'll have the fresh fruit. And that takes care of it. I really keep my food very plain and simple.
Plain and sane, like Heather Goodwin says. You know?
Absolutely.
If you keep your food plain, then the rest of your life can be spicier.
Yes.
You know, because remember before, what did we do? We were too scared, you know, kind of self-conscious to get out in the public when we weighed so much, and we didn't enjoy our life as much. But now you don't have that in your mind.
Right.
And so you're able to enjoy your life more because you're not focusing on making the food as exciting. Food's delicious, but you're just not looking for that big flavor burst of like Doritos and that kind of
and
thing.
see, to me, Doritos wouldn't taste good. They would really be vile.
Now it
because
definitely
it's
would
fatty
be.
and salty, and I don't need that.
Right.
You know.
But there was a
people-
time,
Oh, of
you
course
know,
there was.
yeah.
And it wasn't that long ago.
Right.
But give me a really nice salad, and I'm happy. I mean, that's what I like. I don't use a lot of salad dressing. I
Right.
tend to make my own. I use a lot of vinegars. I like those crisp tastes that bring out the taste of the vegetables.
Yep. Do you have a, can you name any particular compliant food that makes your mouth water? That when you set it down on the table and you're about to sit down to eat, that you actually start salivating over the recipe, over the dish?
Oh, one of my favorite things that I make all the time, I water saute onions and mushrooms. That's one of my favorite dishes. And when that's cooking, you know, it's that temptation to take the fork and dip into it. I do a lot of water sauteing, and I like a lot of Asian vegetables. So I will water saute bok choy, sugar snap peas, some onions,
Have you tried water sautéing beets yet?
Not yet, because I either like roasted beets or I just want to eat them raw and shredded.
Right.
So I haven't water sauteed them. So
I've added it to my soups and stuff, and they change the flavor. I like them. I love them raw too.
Yeah.
And I do like adding them now into some of my water sautés. Like if I know that I'm going to be gone for a few days, but I've got some vegetables in the refrigerator that will be bad by the time I get back, so I'll water saute some things up and stick it in the freezer. You know, whoops, sorry.
Yeah.
And thank you, sorry, my left hand's getting tired. And so, you know, what are your favorite seasonings to add?
I like garlic, I like ginger, onion powder. I like spicy things, so I like lots of chili powders, chili peppers. I also like turmeric, smoked paprika, a lot of Asian seasonings.
Where do you go to find your seasonings? Do you ever look on Amazon, or do you mostly just find them at your local, like your grocery stores?
Well, Trader Joe's has a 21 seasoning, 21 salute seasoning.
Okay.
I like that. I use Benson's Table Tasty.
Okay.
I've
heard of that.
To think.
That's
I've
what
ordered
Chef AJ
spices,
likes, right?
Yes, and
okay.
I've ordered spices from Penzies. And there used to be a site, they shut down a couple of years ago, all of the Korean, Asian spices, lots of varieties that you wouldn't find. And I like Middle Eastern spices. So I do a lot of that shopping online. And some of my foods I just like plain and simple. I like the taste of the food. A lot of my vegetables, I make a concoction of the Napa Valley Grand Reserve balsamic and some of the Westbury Stone Ground no sodium added mustard.
Right, I like that.
And
mustard.
Trader Joe's has a no salt added fire roasted salsa. And I mix that together and put that on some of my veggies.
Is Trader Joe's available online? Because there's, like, the nearest one for me is over an hour away.
Not that I know of, Sandra,
Yeah.
and I've got one very close to me.
Yeah.
So I
haven't been down to one yet.
I don't think so.
Okay. Because I know that they have some frozen things that I would love to try, some compliant things, like Engine 2, but it's so far. I don't know if I could get it home.
Well, Engine 2 you don't find at Trader Joe's.
That's not, that's Whole Foods. That's Whole Foods.
They're Whole
Okay.
Foods.
Okay.
I think they're exclusive.
That's
to
another
Whole
thing that's
Foods.
not near me. So
Okay.
where I live, there aren't that many options for that. There's a Publix. There are Publix, but
Right.
not Whole Foods or Trader Joe's near to my town, my hometown.
I also do a CSA, and mine runs 7 months. I did the summer season, and they're doing an early winter season. So from the beginning
does
of
CSA
June,
stand for?
Community Supported Agriculture. It's like
Okay,
you
it's like a
buy
co-op?
a seasonal share in a farm, and I go on Fridays to pick up. They send an email out on Wednesdays. They tell us what we're going to get.
Okay.
I pick up on Friday. So what I eat for the week is very much based on what I get from my CSA.
Gotcha.
And I absolutely love that. And they're not certified organic, but they grow without pesticides. So again, it's that much cleaner taste that you get. I love vegetables. I always said if I didn't like fruit and veggies, I would have weighed 900 pounds, because that was probably the only saving grace. I could cook a pound of pasta, put a little olive oil on it, a whole lot of butter or margarine on it, or even the substitutes, and then tons of grated cheese, and I was a happy camper. I can't imagine eating that. And I really don't use a lot of the bean pastas. When I use them more as a condiment with a lot of vegetables. I don't do a lot of fancy sauces. Sometimes the fancy sauces taste way too good.
Yeah.
So, I just like to keep my food tastes really simple.
Yeah, I agree. And I think it's interesting how different people who approach this whole food, plant-based lifestyle have totally different situations, our scenarios. Like, I like my soups, and I batch cook. Sometimes, like every 2 or 3 months, I'll go buy like $80 worth of fresh vegetables, and then I'll go home. I'll prep everything first. I'll prep
You
it all.
have to.
Yeah, and I bring my 3 coolers into the dining room, and I put blocks of ice in them, and I prep it takes me hours. I prep every vegetable, put it in its own container, and then once everything is prepped, then I get in the kitchen with some pots, and I start my cooking, and I'll cook pots, and then I'll cook another pot, and then another pot, and every pot's seasoned differently. My sister-in-law is a Nutritarian. She doesn't do any of that. She
Right.
roasts. She roasts, and she'll
Well,
make dressings, and
you-
everybody's different.
You even find that a couple that are Nutritarian, they don't eat the same food.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, they just don't. Everybody eats a little bit differently.
But it's all
So,
good.
Oh, absolutely. It's all compliant. It's all healthy.
Yeah. Well, let me ask you a couple of these. Since you became a Nutritarian, what do you feel was your biggest challenge? Was it like giving up a specific food? Was it emotional eating? What was the hardest thing for you, either in the beginning or like more recently, that you've really had to work on?
The last non-compliant food group that I gave up was dairy. I love cheese. Absolutely loved it. And I had gone to the vegan cheeses and, then started reading the labels and
Right.
well, look at the sodium, look at the oil, they're really not healthy. Even the recipes that are out there for you can make a compliant cheese, I don't do it because I don't want it. I'm afraid of how much of it I would eat.
It's like a gateway drug to
Yes.
to get back to real
And for
cheeses.
me, it's just remembering that I have to read something every day. I have to watch a webinar. I keep reinforcing this process.
Yes, to stay motivated. Yes.
I can't imagine doing anything. When people say to me, well, "When are you going to stop eating this way?" Well, never. I mean, why would I stop
Why
eating
would you?
this
Yeah.
way? It doesn't make any sense. I'm healthier than I've been in forever.
Right.
I have people telling me now I need to stop losing weight.
I hate it when
I've
people say
lost
that to
too
me.
much,
Oh my goodness. No, I'm not ready. I'm not there yet. So
Well,
yeah.
nobody ever said to me, "Wow, you've really gotten fat."
I know.
So, what business is it of yours to tell me that I should stop losing weight?
I've had the same reaction. Yes.
Yes.
Okay, so as Nutritarians, we don't really focus on. We don't really eat white rice and white potatoes that
Right.
much. For me personally, I never even thought about them. Once I became a Nutritarian, I never thought, "Oh my God, I'm missing potatoes." I don't miss them, and I've eaten them like very rarely. And white rice, I don't care about white rice. I eat whole grains, and I
Right.
eat one a day. Was white rice or were white rice or potatoes a problem for you to start
No,
limiting?
not at all, because I had long ago switched over. I had gone from white rice to brown rice, then to red rice to black rice, always like wild rice. Discovered oat groats
Oh, I love
within
oat
about
groats,
a
yeah.
year. And I love them because they're sweet, they're savory, you can use them either way. I don't eat a huge amount of grains. Dr. Fuhrman really focuses on the legumes.
Right.
That's what I do. Sometimes I'll pull a package of already prepped oat groats out of the freezer. I'll add a half a cup to my salad. My salads typically have a minimum of 10 to 15 ingredients
Right,
in them.
right.
That's where I put some seeds in. I'll put fruit on. I love blueberries. So, and it makes the whole salad. It changes the taste of it. So at this point, I really don't miss the foods I used to eat because this is not about what I can't eat. This is about what I can eat.
Right, right,
And my choices are taking me to optimum health.
right.
And why would I want to eat something?
Yeah, why go
that's
back?
It just doesn't make any sense to me.
When one night I was walking through Walmart very late at night. I had to be at a Walmart at like 10 o'clock on a work night, and so my defenses were getting low. And I think I was looking for flaxseed, and for some reason at that Walmart they were down the same aisle as the boxed candy, the packaged candy. So I was tired, and I walked past Reese's Cups, which were one of my favorites.
Okay.
I thought, I could just grab one real quick. And then I thought, the thought came to me, I didn't get this by eating that.
Right.
And I was already, experiencing a lot of success, and it was kind of a spontaneous thought, and I thought that's going to be one of my new mantras. I didn't get this by eating that, and so that
Absolutely.
I say that
That's
now really
great.
helps me, to say no to when somebody says, Dunkin' Donuts or whatever. Look, I'm happy this way. Why would I want to eat that donut, which now I wouldn't even enjoy?
Right.
And why would I
And
give
you'd
this
feel
up?
sick after
And
you
I'd be
ate it.
very sick after
Yes.
eating it. Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely.
So why would you want to do that?
Yeah. Okay, do you exercise?
Yes. My knees, years of being really obese, your knees suffer. And in 2011, I had osteomyelitis in my left big toe. I had a staph infection that was encapsulated. It probably had been there for years. By the time it made its presence known, it had destroyed the bone. I mean, the bone in the toe was gone. And the treatment is amputation. And, the surgeon didn't say to me, "No, you're going to have some gait and balance issues afterward." I wear a special orthotic that has a piece in it to keep my toe, because there is no toe there. It's
Right.
like not having a thumb, to keep it from sliding, because if it slides, I get blisters, and that can be very, very serious. So I started doing seated exercise classes, I think around 2012. I've increased the number of classes I do. Some of my classes, we do work at an exercise bar and with bands. I do a lot more standing when I exercise than I used to do. I joined at the senior center, we have an option of a 50-plus fitness center, dirt cheap. I joined that. The 4 days a week that I exercise, do my classes, when I finish my classes, I go over to the fitness center and I do another half an hour workout.
Okay.
So, and
Awesome.
I don't do it because it makes me lose weight.
Right. No,
really
it doesn't.
But
Exercise
I
doesn't.
feel good. It's the endorphins.
Right.
It's strengthening. I'm going to start working a little bit, I think, with a personal trainer.
Yeah.
To try to do some tightening of some of the muscles
Yep.
in here.
Yep.
At my age, it's a lot harder to do that.
Well, isn't it Dr. Fuhrman that says lose weight in the kitchen, tone up in the gym? We don't really need to rely on exercising to lose the weight. It's just, like you said, for the endorphin rush and for the toning up,
Right.
and for flexibility, but not for losing weight necessarily.
Right.
Yeah.
And I can move in ways that I couldn't before. I mean, it amazes me. Dr. Fuhrman led an exercise class this morning, and I knew it was going to be too high level for me, but I went anyway, and I stayed toward the back of the room. I was stunned at how much I moved. I was just, oh my God. So every day is the adventure of finding it out. By the time I was done the 20 minutes or so, my knees were a little bit achy, so
Yeah.
it's not something I would want to do constantly.
But that adventure is worth every Dunkin' Donut, in the world, isn't it?
Well, knowing that I could do it, and I didn't care and everybody who was there were people jumping and hopping and working at high energy levels. There were people moving at a lesser level, and that's the thing that's important. It's not keeping up with the other person.
No.
It's doing what you're able to do.
What you're able to do at your level.
So I really enjoy my exercise classes.
I've
A
been
little bit
looking
of
forward to getting out,
socialization, but that's not as much of a component anymore for me.
Right, right. Okay, so what is your favorite vegetable? I mean, like right now, I really enjoy parsnips. I like them raw and I like them cooked. In my soups, I just enjoy parsnips. And I also love cherry tomatoes. I eat them like chips, And so there are certain vegetables that I enjoy both raw and then some I enjoy cooked. Do you have a favorite vegetable?
My favorites are seasonal and they rotate. It depends on what I have. I love broccoli, I love asparagus. Sugar snap peas are one of my favorites. I love cabbages, I love bok choy. I love Brussels sprouts. It gets to be more of a point of what vegetables don't I like. So You know, veggies are that's great food. I love artichokes. You know, they're a little, and I like to buy a whole artichoke
Right.
and steam it and then eat it like that.
Do you dip it like in a vinegar, like
Nope.
the thing when you break a leaf, just eat them?
No, sometimes I'll dip them in my little salsa mix. But a good fresh artichoke, it's got such a unique taste that I really like getting that taste. Particularly after I've cleaned out the choke and I'm down to the artichoke part.
Right.
I love beets. I mean, I could eat beets day in and day out.
Do you like the golden ones too?
Yes, I like all the beets.
Yeah.
And there's a rainbow beet that,
What?
you know, it's got, you kind of, when you cut it, it's like white and pink and it goes in little
gotta
circles.
find that.
Well, I get them from my farm
From your,
shed.
oh my
Yeah.
gosh, that's awesome.
So,
Well, for me, in the very beginning, when I go to the movies or whatever with somebody, I have the frozen insulated lunch bags, you know, the kind you stick in the freezer and pull them out so the
Right.
bag itself freezes. And I would put it in my purse, which is a large purse, and I would put Ziploc bags of romaine lettuce in there. And when I get to the movies, and when you're eating raw vegetables, you don't need water. That's been my discovery.
oh my
I drink
God,
very
no.
little water
Yes,
now.
and that's what
you know,
Dr. Fuhrman says.
That's right.
Unless you're doing strenuous exercise.
Right.
So in the morning, I drink a couple of cups of, not burning hot, but medium warm herbal tea. I do take fiber, and other than that, I don't do a lot of drinking
No,
during the day.
no,
because
we
when
don't.
you're eating a head of lettuce,
Yeah.
when you're eating broccoli, when you're eating
Cherry
whatever,
tomatoes,
you're
yeah.
getting tons and tons.
You really
of
are.
water.
And a cucumber,
Yes.
the liquid, the water. And somebody at the NHA conference mentioned, somebody had said, you know, people ask me, should I be drinking distilled water? Should I be drinking what kind of water? He said, look, I think that the water you should be drinking should be filtered through vegetables.
Oh, I
You
like
know,
that.
it should be from
Use your
the water
vegetables
as
the
your
water
liquid. That's
filter.
right.
That's great.
And so in the beginning, for me, the romaine was one of my saving graces because I would eat it like chips. You know, and I would take it into the movies, and I'd have 3 sandwich-sized Ziploc bags in my little cooler, and I'd sit there during the movie and eat my romaine lettuce. You know, and it helped me a lot.
Well, and because I do the intermittent fasting, on the rare occasion that I go to a movie, I don't take any food with me.
Right,
because
right,
I
right.
don't snack anymore.
Right. Well, in the beginning, I know for at least the first year, maybe even 2, you know, people would say, don't eat between meals. I'm like, that's not going to happen. I ate lots of raw vegetables and fruits, but in the beginning, I had so much to lose. I was, you know, even screwing up, I was still losing a lot because
Right.
my diet changed so dramatically. So I decided not to worry about it at the time. But now that I'm down to, you know, just like 10, 15 pounds from my goal, I'm now having to fine tune
Right.
things, and so it, you know, and I am trying now to not snack as much, even on the fruits and vegetables. You know, I'm trying to get to where I'm not emotional eating, and that was one of the things I wanted to ask you. Do you find now that you are, as they say, eating for entertainment?
No.
Like when you go to a reception, a wedding reception?
Absolutely
Yeah,
not.
okay. So if once you've
Absolutely
eaten your
not.
meal, you don't need to sit there and socialize,
No,
eat. Yeah.
absolutely not. That's not healthy for me.
Okay.
So I don't do that.
Do you have a favorite fruit? Like what pops in your head, like that makes you salivate?
Blueberries.
Okay, so your blueberries are your
probably
favorite.
my number one favorite.
How do you feel about
Which
citrus?
is really interesting because growing up, when we would visit relatives, everybody was served sandwiches for lunch, but I was given blueberries and cottage cheese. So it's a miracle that I even like blueberries anymore. I use blueberries all the time. I love them in a salad. I like mangoes. I like watermelon. In the winter, I order citrus from Florida and Texas. So my fruits are also seasonal.
Right.
I used to let myself do more unlimited fruits, and
Yeah.
I don't anymore because
Yeah.
I just don't need that much, and it can elevate your triglycerides.
So you have learned how to self-regulate quite a bit. I mean, your body
Yes.
is self-regulating. Yeah, I didn't in the beginning. Like I said, I didn't. I at the time I just thought I could. I can't do that. And now, we evolve, and I'm beginning to feel more of the ability, and the desire to self-regulate, and it's helping me a lot. But you couldn't have told me that in the beginning.
It's part of the learning process.
It
for
is,
me.
yeah.
It's like you say, all right, this worked, this didn't work. You know, how am I going to modify this?
Yeah. But you know, I think we can't really, I mean, you can tell somebody later you'll feel differently, but they're not going to believe you until it happens to them, you know. So I think that's important for people to understand, both the one on the giving end of saying it and the one on the receiving end. Just for now, do what you got to, you know, start
Right.
where you are and work your way through, and don't worry too much right now about it. You know, it'll happen.
And I tweak my food all the time.
That was another question I wanted to ask.
Absolutely tweak my food all the time.
Is it like out of boredom, like you get in a rut and you want to try something new?
No, I'll just say, I haven't had this in a while. I think I'm going to switch out. I'm comfortable eating the same thing day after day after day. I don't get bored. I really see it as this is what's fueling my body. It's not an entertainment that I do. Food's just taken on a whole other meaning in my life.
Well, now, have a lot of the friends that I've talked to sometimes they say, I cannot face another salad. Okay, I'm sick of looking at salad. I got to do something different. Did you ever feel like you got to the point where, you know, you just could not look at another bowl of salad?
Maybe for 5 minutes, and then it was like, okay, make the salad, you know,
Okay.
and then I'm fine.
Okay.
I really enjoy my salads. I don't do chopped salads.
Okay.
I like being able to do a lot of the chewing myself. And as you know, Dr. Fuhrman says, you know, do a lot of chewing in the mouth because it gets the enzymes going,
Right.
it gets the process going. So I do eat. I go to a particular potluck where one of the people prepares a chopped salad, and that's one of the things that I eat there. But I don't do a lot of chopped salad at home.
Okay, yeah.
I have things that I add in that I do. I use the Vidalia Pro Onion Wizard to do chopping of carrots and celery and things like that. So I get these nice uniform chunks,
Right.
and then I chew them more.
What's your favorite gadget? Would it be like your Instant Pot? Do you have an Ulu knife? Do you, you know?
The Vidalia Pro Onion Wizard.
That's your
I'm only
favorite
cooking for one person, so I don't have to do a lot of the food processor things. I can take that out and wacka, and I'm done. And it's easy to clean. I don't use my Instant Pot every single day.
Right.
I will batch cook some beans, put them in the freezer. I might not use it again for another couple of weeks. It just depends on, I used to be I still am a foodie. So I had every kitchen appliance and gadget, and over the years I've gotten rid of things. I finally broke down and bought a Vitamix, which I again don't use that frequently.
Really?
I use my
Wow.
NutriBullet every day
Yeah,
because I
yeah.
make a smoothie after my veggies for breakfast, which is, you know, late morning. And the NutriBullet works just fine for me. It's a lot
Yeah.
easier to clean.
Yeah, yeah. The people with the I don't know a Vitamix yet either, and so a lot of them talk about how much easier it is when you're dealing with like nuts, with the raw nuts, to pulverize it better, you know, to make like a creamy dressing or that kind of thing. And I'm looking forward to someday having one, but right now I just have a Ninja, and so I just don't worry too much about